Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Boneyard Podcast. I'm your host, the Bare Bones Gaming, Regiment Leader of the Bone Regiment. Been going on since War 103 with Bone. Currently one of the leads slash helpers in what are we calling it now? Rib Boys? I think that's what we're going with. Rib. But yeah, dude. This week we got Alex Chamberlain, Cranky and Kruuuze. I'll let them give a little bit of a deeper introduction. Kruuuze, we can start with you, man.
Is he muted?
Hey, yeah, I got it. My bad. I'm Kruuuze. I'm a colonial. I've been playing since War 84, and you can usually find me on wherever the most active fronts are, attacking the wardens as best I can.
Oh, yeah.
Who's next?
You're up
Me.
next, brother Main.
Hi, my name's Cranky Khan. I'm new to Foxhole. Well, not new. I have 2,000 hours, but new to the scene and streaming and all that stuff. I'm an officer in Horde. And yeah, colonial diehard. So
Oh yeah. The man that needs no introduction.
What's up? I'm Alex Chamberlain. I have been playing Foxhole for roughly 5 years. Just crossed the 10,000 hours mark last month. And yeah, pretty much no life the shit out of this game.
Before anyone says it, this motherfucker's a professional wrestler, all right? He don't need to go touch no grass, all right? He touches mats. All right, man. Well,
That's a lot of men.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, it's gonna be a good podcast, boys. All right, so hell yeah, dude. I work really close with Horde, and I've been friends with Kruuuze for a good long time. And I'm super excited to get these guys on here. And I think the first super basic question that I gotta ask is what do you guys think of the newest update? What do we think of the newest update? And then we got now, not talking about the single shard merger. I'm talking about update 64. The single shard merger was 7 hours ago. If you guys haven't seen that, but I'm more talking update 64. Some of the changes that are just recently done, and also, what was going on before that. What do you guys think about it?
I think there's an awesome amount of changes. There's so many different changes. Like just scrolling through the list of changes takes like 20 minutes, and I'm excited to test them all out. I know some of you have been on the dev branch and tested them out. I have yet to do it. I decided to jump into them for the first time once it goes live this next Tuesday. But I'm just like looking through the list. There's so many changes, and going forward, knowing that they're going to keep making changes and like probably this amount of changes is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, any update's going to be good. I mean, it's actually a pretty decent amount of shift for a lot of stuff. My only worry was the morale kick. I mean, I guess it's weird when they don't really let you test stuff. I guess that was the kind of the frustration I think people were feeling like yesterday with what they felt like was a proverbial rug pull, and it's basically like a handful of people are basically testing this stuff, giving feedback, but they're not actually giving it like real live war condition testings. So people are kind of feeling like there's not the testing doesn't feel, it feels disingenuous a little bit, because like, well, who's giving them the feedback? Because whoever's giving them the feedback is like you kind of want to know who it is now. It's kind of feel like, I think it's kind of hitting that point where people are like not necessarily like vibing with the changes, and they're like some of the changes, like the devs will be like, oh well, you guys asked for this, and it's like, wait a minute, what? We didn't ask for any of this. Like, we wanted you guys to like shift airplanes and stuff, and you guys went and did tanks, and it's like, and then you guys buffed tanks and then removed it like 4 days later because you said that we didn't like the buffs, and I was like, who's testing this stuff? Like, it was actually kind of fun using some of that stuff. You know, and it's just weird. It's kind of it's the back and forth, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's actually getting tested. It just feels like um,
A vibe check almost. And
they throw shit out there, see what sticks, and if they and then they get cold feet when they're like, oh no, we can't do this. Like and then one side feels jilted. You know, it's like you dangled a pretty cool carrot, and then then you kicked us in the balls, and then you know and then you just kept stomping.
Yeah. I'm with Chamber on this. I mean, you know, when the first update came out of 64, everyone was like, "Oh my god, we got a 40-meter range Bard. We got all these cool toys. We finally got a fun tank." And then, like Chamber said, they rug pulled us. And, I know a lot of colleagues that are the morale was hit, so it's kind of like, huh? The update seems fun though. I'm glad we get to see, we got the roadmap. We got the 6 weeks. We're gonna know there's another update in 6 weeks, so we don't have to wait to hear from them for 3 months. So there's pros and cons to the update. I'm a diehard Foxhole player. I love the game when I first got it, so I'm optimistic to a certain point. So hopefully, we have some say as colleagues to hey, this we would like a certain this and that, but it's not, our cries seem like they are going nowhere.
yeah, so I've been like going pretty deep conversations with a lot of my friends. I mean, as soon as any change happens, like me being a podcast guy on Foxhole now, I literally had 40 pings. I took a screenshot of it. I had 40 pings on my Discord about the first iteration and changes. And I literally, my buddy Civi and my buddy Hanson, I asked them if they were messing with me. If this was like a dev interns update, I was literally in disbelief when the first iteration of 64 came out because I did not believe all the changes that had come. And then we got into testing and stuff. Um and you can even see on where I gave feedback in Reddit, and on, I don't think I actually posted on FOD this time, but on Reddit I did post that with all these changes I was actually amplifying for warden buffs as well, because I did see some things that were left in the dust, and I still don't want an imbalanced game, right? I don't want a revenge war, and I think that's what a lot of wardens feel like right now, is they're suffering from success and that they need to be nerfed in the dirt because they're winning. And I don't think that's what a lot of colonials want. Um, but I think you guys hit the it did feel like a massive rug pull, and it feels like they're even scared to like actually test stuff out in a real live environment. Now, I don't need to like we don't need to touch the hot burner to know it's hot, right? If something's obviously jank, like let's not beat around the bush. Like there are some certain aspects that I think were really strong, but again, were any of them so game breaking that it was just going to make the war absolutely one sided, no rebuttal? I don't know. And I think
There's
what's that?
in my opinion, there's no single piece of gear that will break the game. There's
And
not a one single piece of gear that will actually tip the scales of a battle to tip an entire war. At the end of the day, the analytics have shown it's who logs in the most. Whichever side has more soldiers
and you're
is who
getting
wins.
to where I was going
And
next, 100%.
yeah,
No, that's exactly where I was going with this. Is I think the missed opportunity here, and we kind of moved the goalpost again, going back into old customs. I think the real issue is colonials don't have an identity right now, and I'll kind of explain what I mean by that in a minute. But I feel like we're kind of shifting away from the colonial identity of what we've been, and the game doesn't really provide great the server doesn't give us what our strength is at all. And I feel like there's really not a lot of really great stuff on the Colonials right now for you to want to play Colonial over the Warden faction. If you first buy the game or you look on Reddit, which is a vile place, or FOD, you're gonna see very quickly like everyone is crying that there's a 70% win rate on the Wardens right now. I think it's 66 or 70% win rate over the past 2 years. And if you're a new player, like what is your first, if you're looking to buy the game, every single person that you're looking at and telling you and looking at the reviews right now, it's mostly negative reviews right now from not just like 100-hour players. You're talking about thousands of hour players. Again, I think they just missed the mark on what the update, the two things the update really needed was Colonial player base to get back to being healthy and to mainly fix Airborne. And I think as well, though, and I'm curious what you guys think about it. Do you guys think it was the hair that broke the camel's back, or do you think it was just Airborne that was the main issue?
I think queues were the biggest issue with Airborne. That's what I think hurt the population the most. You know, when they were basically trying to handle 18,000 people trying to log into the game, and then I think even returning players coming back pretty much probably felt like, oh, nothing's changed. I can't even log in and play the game. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of returning players came in, tried to log in, sat in queue for 3 hours, and then we're like, oh, okay, well, the game's still the same. And it's still, you get queued out in a hex and you have to wait for hours to play. You know?
100%. I think
Sorry, my son's.
Oh, you're all
up.
good, dude.
Take care of him.
All good, brother. I mean, what do you guys think? You know, like Kruuuze, Cranky. I mean, what do you think is because let's not beat around the bush. I don't think the game's in a healthy state right now, and I don't think this update has hit morale for at least a good portion of people in a good spot. What do you guys think?
I think to
Was
go
an
off,
issue.
the morale. I mean, I think the devs are seeing the backlash of what the Kali players felt after they rug pulled us, and they're trying to. I don't know if it's save their ass or what they have to do with you just said something about the shard merger or something, right?
Yeah.
You combine
So Charlie's
Charlie
not gonna
and
be a thing anymore. Charlie's gone, which I think doubling down on bad shit there because people only play Charlie and they're going to lose players just by doing that. And then also like to really hit the Charlie players harder, any regiment that was in Charlie and there was duplicates on Able, there's like let's say someone made a mock-up Bone on Charlie, or let's say they even had it first and I made Bone on Able. I get to keep my regiment. They don't. They deleted all the regiments from Charlie. So
Don't regiments have a number after them where you could make the same one, but it would just have a different number? I mean, people could just put like a number or a dash or something in their tag to make it slightly different if they needed to. The people aren't going. There used to be, Baker Shard, and I'm sure there are people that were saying, "Oh, Baker Shard is done. I'm never playing again." And then a month later, they're playing on Able server. Like people say they're going to leave, but they're going to keep playing the game because they like the game. And
100%.
I think it's cool that they're going to merge the two for this next one. I'm looking forward to that.
yeah.
But I also understand there are people that are attached to playing on certain servers and they're like, I'm only playing on this. But, when the only option is Able server, I think they're going to probably be playing on Able server.
I'm really shocked they
for the
did
most
that.
part.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you, Cranky, by the way. I know you were going on a point there. So
You're good. I mean, yeah, like you said, like breaking the camel's back, or like our last straw. I think, maybe the shard merger will, like, I don't know, maybe bring the community together, because that whole Able versus Charlie, like Charlie players or whatever, and Able players or whatever. But maybe it it might start drama, but maybe it's just gonna bring us all together to finally realize that, like, oh, like, it is just a video game. We don't have
Mhm.
to take it serious, and we can work together to make the game healthy again and whatnot. But like right now, the game's not in a healthy spot, and with the Quadish and the certain stuff the Collies that got reverted back. It all comes down to, are you having fun on your side? And I know a lot of the Horde guys were excited about the Quadish, and it being just like the Bone Law, not similar, but like still like a flanking tank, and all the different changes. Like, I think that's what it comes down to video games is, are you going to have fun? And some people love tanking, and if there's a fun tank, then newer players will come to us. But when you don't have fun tanks like the Bone Law, like the Silver Hand now that's buff, the Widow, and certain tanks like that, and you have MPF tanks that you're supposed to go crazy, and like Chambo said, the Qs, like, we're supposed to be the MPF faction, but we don't get 100 bodies into the hex. It's whatever the wardens can defend with. So I really don't know if this is it for Foxhole or what, but
I mean,
man,
I think they probably have their servers paid up for a while, at least probably for the rest of the year. So hopefully, they can spend the next. I mean, they gotta spend this. Basically, this whole year is gonna be nothing but damage control for them. So I'm really hoping that they like put their best foot forward, you know, on how they're going to deal with this for the next 6-week cycles. They've got this week, they've got this upcoming update, and they got 2 more updates coming out to like basically try to win back people. But I think this next war, the starting pop, is gonna be a very much a deciding factor on, like, if we don't crack 5,000 players to start the next war, like then even then I'll probably start being like, oh shit, something this is like, you know might be in a bit of trouble, you know. So
Yeah.
hopefully hopefully it's just a little overblown and people are just acting, overblowing it right now, and people are just acting just emotionally because they just passionate about the game and they just don't want to see the game go away. So that's why I think that's why people are acting so strongly, is because they don't want to see anything bad happen to the game. And so now it's like everyone's just kind of flailing and just lashing out because I think everyone is kind of seeing some unfortunate writing on the wall, and I honestly don't know if the devs know what they're doing. I don't think they know how to fix it. I think they've kind of they've kind of painted themselves into a corner, and now it's like if you take care of one side, the other side flips out. If you take care of the other side flips out. So like you can't. Neither side is ever going to be happy with either side getting any sort of adjustments at this point, and it's apparent. Man, you go into FOD, it's an absolute shit show. I mean, it's so bad over there. It's just an absolute cesspool. And if honestly, if Foxhole, if that's where they're getting their adjustments for the game, no wonder the game's dying. Like, if that's honestly where they're getting their feedback for Foxhole and how they're adjusting the game, we are in so much trouble. Because if the devs are listening to those people, that's the reason why we've hemorrhaged thousands and thousands of players.
You know what?
So,
And I'll actually piggyback off that. And um, I have a question specifically for Kruuuze after this too. But I'll actually piggyback off this too. And this kind of goes into my statement of what I've said in the past and why I advocate so much for a community manager. And I know Helldivers isn't in the best state right now because of the way they're balancing the game and the way they're not listening to the community. There's a lot of parallels being drawn between Helldivers and Foxhole right now. But one thing that I really did enjoy from Helldivers was having a like D&D, a renowned D&D master, like take control of the campaign and the galactic like universe or whatever there. And what I really think, which it would be a very hard job that you'd have to have a lot of integrity for and a lot of backing and experience in the game, but I really think to have a community manager that would oversee balance and the way the devs interact with the community would be so imperative for Siege Camp. And with the prior things happening with Flying Chicken and Badman Larry and all this stuff. Like, I know that they're scared to do it, but I still emphasize that and I'm curious if you guys agree or not. I think a community manager is now needed more than ever because they say and do shit that is just, it draws so many bad lines and so many bad double standards. I genuinely feel that. Like, I don't know if you guys heard about what they were calling the colonial scout plane. It was like the something of jealousy or some shit like that. Do I think they were actually calling half their player base jealous and stuff like that? That's a stretch. But did it help their case at all for dev bias conspirators? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're shooting themselves in the own foot with silly stuff like that. And having someone that's a community manager would have to be the filter before that went to the live player base, because I know people are super pissed about that. And I just think that they do a lot of stuff not thinking of the repercussions of how people are going to perceive it. I think they just send it out thinking that everyone's understanding, like, knows how to see from the other point of view, and a lot of people are not like that. And I just, do you guys think a community manager would help or hurt? What do you guys think on that?
I'm for it. I mean, even if it's, some of the biggest players in the game that just get to, test out the stuff. Like, like Chamberlain, like Kruuuze, and if it's Graf and whoever over on the Warden side, like they come together, they get into a server and they just test it out, and they look over the stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we all had it in school. Like, you always have to go over the rough draft and look over stuff and look at stuff. So, I mean, Berg, I think you're right. Like right now, the two communities hate each other. Like it's like politics right now, literally.
Yeah,
It
pretty
is.
much.
Like it's
Yeah, it's
nuts.
tribalism. Yeah, it's tribalism.
Yeah,
It's bad. Yeah.
it's terrible. And I don't I'm not the person to say that, like, like, if I'm in the game and I kill Warden, yeah, like fuck you, Wardens. Like, but like,
Banter's good, but there's a difference in, like, banter
There's
and
dudes who take this shit way too seriously.
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Way too
yeah.
seriously.
And
I just want the game to be good. I don't give a shit.
100%.
I don't give a shit which side has what piece of gear. Like, it doesn't matter. If you're good at the game, you can win with a pistol. If you're good at the game, you can win with any piece of gear. Like I said, there's not a single piece of gear that is going to shift the meta for the game. Like I was saying that earlier, but like it's just this tribalism, and I think some of it comes down to the game has become a heavy workload game now. So now you're really 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 invested because of like facilities and amps up maintenance and all the costs now into the game. So you have like there's a lot more skin in the game than there was like 3 or 4 years ago pre facilities. So now people like really like want their work and have to be like want their stuff appreciated, and they really want to make sure that their work is seen and noticed, and there's a lot more effort put in. So therefore you really want to see your side win more because you do all this work. So I think that's all too. Like there's a lot more effort being put into the game. It's become, it's become a labor now. It's almost like a second job for some people, and they treat it as such. So I think that's also kind of driving the factionalism too a little bit. So even like the slightest change is just kind of throwing everyone into a tizzy, and they just freak out.
Yeah, I liked your change that you suggested, Chamberlain, on your stream the other day. I was lurking and I heard you talking about the MSUPs and how like every 7 days they should be reduced. I thought that was a really cool idea. Like
Yeah, just
it'd feel
be
good.
well, because those people are committed to the war. If they're going into week 4, week 5, they would have been doing those chores regardless. But they're obviously not letting their stuff decay out. So throw them a bone. Let them get a cost reduction in their base. Like newbies will come and go, and those are the ones that really choke up the servers, and just they'll decay out because if they don't maintenance it every week, then they don't get that buff. So it would just reward consistent players. Players who are loyal to the game, who log in every day and do their chores and shit. So I think that's a good. I think that's the kind of quality of like people want to see. I think they just shouldn't touch. Honestly, if they never touch tanks, period for an airborne update, which is what they should have been probably worried about, not so much tanks. None of this, like half of this morale stuff wouldn't have been a problem, honestly. No one would be talking about this shit if they didn't try to tune the tanks. I think that was like their big mistake.
I 100%
They shouldn't
agree.
have touched it.
Like,
Why they touched it? It was
well,
planes that were the problem for a lot of people. It's planes and queues.
and
Fix that stuff.
to top it, like this is the thing that's just been eating me alive and I cannot understand. And this is where like I still emphasize a community manager. You have a community that like literally just had a massive falling out. Like, and I'm not, it's Colonials, right? You had 17,000 players hemorrhaging down to the other day. Someone took a screenshot. Low pop hours, regardless, it got down to 500 players. Right? You've obviously touched a nerve. The Colonials are down 8 wars. They are a 33% win rate in 2 years. You dangle one of the most hopeful buffs ever in our face, and then just like I call it, like you call it a rug pull, I call it a blindside, because everyone kind of knew that it was possible for all these changes to go down, but I mean they ripped majority of what people wanted out of it, and I think when you go into that and they just like it's almost like the starving dog and you wave chicken in front of it and then you just throw it away. It's just like kicking a dude while he's down, bro. Like I think it was a horrible time to do this, and then like to also reverberate, like no one really even asked about tank buffs, like you said. Majority of it was one-shot infantry stuff, which I do give the devs credit for. They fixed a lot of the infantry kit gear. Like they made changes to the infantry kit, made it like more flavorful with the Warden heavy armor and the flak vest, and they added the flak AA. They did a lot of good stuff, and I think you nailed it again. Dangling these tanks in front of us, this tank balance, and then just ripping it. They just don't understand the perception of how people are going to take it. And I think they really messed up with that.
What exactly did they add and then take away?
So one of the massive things that they added was the Bardiche 40-meter range. That's something that Colonials have been asking for since it's in indoctrination, like since it's been added to the game. And they added 40-meter Bard, and then they stripped that away. They added the 45-meter Spatha, but then stripped it down to be like a weird side grade, like outlaw equivalent, and it's like almost mirror image of what the outlaw is without
Spatha?
Yeah, the Spatha, sorry. Like, and then they had the Talos go, that you have to have a whole new facility building for the Talos upgrade now too. They buffed it to 40 meters, which is great, but then they made it cost steel, which is now more M subs and more like way harder work to get these Talos to be out on the front. And then like to top that, they took away that, and they also took away the Ransor going from AP RPGs to RPGs. And that was a change that they didn't even try. No, like we literally didn't even get to try any of these changes implemented. And there's like no data behind if this would have been OP or not. And then they go ahead and buff the Silverhand pretty dramatically. They buffed the HTD. And again,
Well, they slowed the Silverhand down.
Yeah, by 20%, but it's also
it's reverse speed too.
Yeah, so they slowed it down, right? But they also gave it more armor than an Ares. Like the Colonial's super heavy, right? So you're never going to get, like, it's going to take a long time to wear that armor down. Like an extremely long time. They nerfed the pen chance on the HTD, but then also gave it, they removed its reverse penalty and off-road penalty, and gave it a higher, or lower fuel consumption. And again, like, they strip a lot of stuff that they were like kind of dangling in front of us, and then boop, they buff the Warden side, and that's where I feel like a lot of collies feel frustrated because they didn't even give us the chance to try an AP RPG Ransor. They didn't even give us the chance to try a 40 mil or 40 meter range Bard, right? Like it's just not even in the books. They don't even want to try, and I feel like that's where people are frustrated more than making the wardens adequate. I don't think any of those buffs to the warden's equipment was inadequate if they kept all those other changes. I think it's that they kind of stripped away some of the toys that they were kind of not promising but showed in front of us, and then gave.
The only one I was bummed about was the Quadish. That was my only tank where I was like, man, I was gonna have so much fun. I was gonna make so many of those.
I've asked for that for literal years, dude.
Yeah,
in
I've
my
been asking for the
podcast.
APRPGs on that
Same.
forever. Like I've always wanted that, and because like as a PVE tool, it's mid at best. And now that you have the Talos and you got battle tanks, and you have ballistas that do just fine PVE, and I just don't know why we need an RPG one when a tank hunter would have just been fun. I think for me that's the biggest issue is that Kali gear feels very vanilla, whereas Warden's gear feels very like Neapolitan. It's all the flavor. You know what I mean? They got all the flavor of their stuff. So it's one of those things where it's just like I think that's where the big break in the game is. It's not tuning, it's not necessarily equipment. It's just it's the dynamic of some of the stuff they have is fun. Like they have the Brigand. The Brigand is an amazing anti-infantry, very niche. The Outlaw, great little PvE tank, very niche. It's completely separate approach to tanks. You know what I mean? Like the Brigand's more anti-infantry, but you can kill tanks with that too. And then you can and then you have the Bone Law, just a strict tank killer. All got machine guns, all got boost, all have to be smart with their plays. They have to approach the game, and they have to approach the battles in a very unique way, and that's fun. Whereas collies are poke and trade. Okay, cool. Dive and trade. You know what I mean? That's it. That's our tanks. That's our tank dynamic right now, pretty much.
It's a block of numbers, dude, and that's what a lot of people call it as. It's like you go from the hatchet, our light tank, and then you go straight into a falchion, which is the exact same thing. There's no different play style between the hatchet and the falchion. And then you go into
it's from one brick to a bigger brick.
And then you go into the Spatha. Then you go into the Spatha, which is just a faster shooting brick. Like the Bard and the Nemesis did add a lot of flavor, right? But again, a lot of players don't like playing Bardishes because they don't want to just dive and die. There's so much when it's just tank on tank.
The gear fear is so bad that the play style for the Bard doesn't really support the foxhole play style.
Well, and it doesn't even reward you a lot of the times with infantry and stuff. Like infantry AT and like ATGs and stuff like that. It doesn't reward dives, and it's like the enemy has to overextend usually for you to get a good dive. And that's not a very fun play style for a lot of colonials. And no one wants to go spend another 15 minutes pulling shells for a fucking Bardiche after you dove one. That's annoying. And it's tactics versus like what's fun, dude. And I think that's what the main issue again is. What's going on, bro? It's not fun. It's not fun playing in bricks, and they have a lot of flavor, like Chamberlain said. So, I mean, Kruuuze, like, I know you don't tank a ton, and you're mainly infantry and kind of planes now. Outside of the tanks and stuff, I mean, what do you think about the Fashina nerf, the Pillory nerf, the Raka nerf? What I mean, is infantry eating good or what?
Fashina, I never really use that one exclusively. I know a lot of people really like it, so I'm not sure exactly what changed on that. I probably wouldn't use it now, and I didn't use it before. I prefer my main loadouts right now that I prefer is Dusk Rifle with 792 as my primary loadout. If that's not available, I swap to Argenti bayonet combo with the Mammon, and then my third preferred loadout is Lion Claw. And I'm really looking forward to the bayonet change that's coming forward because I had so much fun with the bayonets before that was originally changed. So I'm really excited to try that out this upcoming on the 26th, the Tuesday the new one starts. Usually after like a day or two, we get the bayonets unlocked. So those will unlock pretty quick. I'm really happy about the pillory shoddy change. I haven't tested it, but from what I read, I get one shot by that thing every single night, constantly. Every warden has it, and I don't blame them. If that was on our side in its current state, I would have it on every single loadout. So yeah, I'm glad that was kind of changed a little bit. I haven't experienced what it's going to be like going against it, but if it's better than what it is now or worse than what it is now, it's fine with me because I'm on the receiving end of it.
Yeah, I really think infantry is actually about to be a lot of fun. Caveat, monkey paw twist. That fucking light AA is finna cause some havoc, bro.
Yeah.
That thing's finna cause some
Thank you,
infantry
YouTuber.
pain, bro. I don't know if you saw my
The,
YouTube video, Kruuuze, but you're finna be some William Defoe's in a fucking trench when you see that thing pull up, bro. You're gonna be looking up, dude.
yeah,
It's
bridge battles are going to be pretty much extinct now.
yeah, fuck. Good luck trying to sit on the side of a bridge.
You'll never get an infantry push over. You'll never be able to push the bridge with that thing sitting there.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be interesting with that tank in. I also really applaud the devs for not making it a fucking variant. Thank God they didn't make it facility locked and everyone's gonna be able to play in them. I don't know. Did you guys ever test them on Dev Branch? Did
Yep.
you guys get to play on them a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Kruuuze? Did you play Dev?
I didn't
Oh
touch
no,
Dev
yeah, you
Branch.
didn't touch it all, right? Dude, and fighting scout planes and stuff. I can see people just being an AA regiment. I'm gonna be honest. It's actually that fun. It's a lot of
After
fun.
the changes yesterday too, planes disable even harder, easier
Yeah.
now.
It's gonna be interesting to see what they want to do with planes, and actually something I wanted to talk about too. And I'm curious what you guys thought because all you guys have been in fighters. I've played with you guys in fighters. Something I find very interesting and something I would really like the devs to look into is how the Warden fighter is supposed to outturn ours like at every turn, like in a turn fight. Something I thought that would be really cool for the Toxot for our kind of niche is to have higher elevation. So instead of going to like 100 meters on the altitude, we could go to like 110 or 120, right? To like do a boom and zoom. You know what I'm saying? Get higher altitude. Like biplanes could not fly as high as like P-51s, right? They couldn't last up in that thin ass air. So I think it'd be cool is if they lean more into the boom and zoom and made us more of a cruiser plane and let us go higher altitude and come in for deeper strikes. But as soon as we were down, like maybe our climb rate isn't as good, so they could always come get us, during our climb or whatever. I feel like they could do a lot more cool stuff with the air-to-air combat other than circle.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna get
more
someone on
aerial
your ass.
maneuvers.
I really wish they would do some cool shit like that. And with how weak planes are, I feel like doing a top-down attack, right, would you'd be able to get enough damage in to actually do something, right? And I don't know. It's just something I've thought about, like, because the Wardens get to play the horizontal game. I wish the Colonials could play the vertical game a lot better. And
Yeah, it is weird how they kind of threw planes out there. It was really weird, like some of the choices they made with everything from the view of planes to having no ability to roll or bank hard or having a 360. I really thought they were going to I thought they were going to deviate a little bit from the actual, the legitimate vision of the game. Like I thought they were going to put like the view of planes on like a 360 gimbal, and you would have to use like your mouse wheel to like kind of rotate around your plane so you could see above you, behind you, under you. And I thought they were going to be I thought they were going to take more risks. They went very safe, and that safety I think kind of screwed the ability for planes to be able to actually act like planes. And so now that they're like these weird little sniper armored cars that are as strong as tanks, and they handle as such. They don't really feel, it doesn't really feel like planes, and it's just weird. Like their combat's weird. They're too accurate on the ground. They're too strong in the air. Dogfights are too long. They fly too low. They go too slow. They have no physics. They don't fly like planes. It's weird. Like, and I get that they try to give themselves a cop out, and they're like, oh hey guys, if you're expecting War Thunder, like don't this isn't it. But I'm like, wasn't expecting War Thunder, but I was expecting at least like a something passable. Maybe like Top Gun for like Nintendo, at least like that, some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least something with a little bit more thought put into it. But it just seems like they took a very they took a huge amount of shortcuts. And I mean, I'm not even making this up. And they said themselves, like, they were throwing the shit together like the last week. Like the scout plane was made at like the last second. It was the second decision. It's like, why would you make that kind of call at the last second to add another plane without really thinking about the balance and what it would have an effect on the game? It's like you guys aren't even doing like any product testing yourselves. You basically throw the game out there and you throw shit against the wall and see what sticks in a live environment, and then you're baffled when we're like, we hate this, and then you guys are incredulous about it. And it's like, well, yeah, what did you expect? Like you guys are kind of half-assing a lot of this stuff. Like they've even said themselves, like even Naval is only 50% released. It's like, it's been 2 years. How is it not 100% released?
Well, and what's even worse?
Why do they have to release planes this year? Why couldn't this been just Naval 2.0? Because they nailed the boats. The boats are the best thing to come out of the airborne update. The small little boats, the new boats, they're great. I loved them.
Sorry, to add insult to injury on that, was they don't communicate it either. That, like, again, is adding so much more frustration to the mix. We're literally sitting there in these fucking in FOD and in Reddit and just fuming over at each other at all this shit when we're not even the ones that get to make these choices, and we're just sitting there like guessing, and then we're fighting over small antics all the time. It's just really weird.
They say they're getting feedback from someone. I want to know who.
That's my big question too.
I want to know who they're getting feedback from, and then I want that dude to be banned from the game and never play it again because they're messing this game up so bad. Whoever's in their ear giving them feedback for this game.
Fucking Theoden dude from Lord of the Rings.
They have, yeah. It literally feels like fucking the little worm. What's his name? Wormtongue.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, it literally feels like him. It's like, yeah, they have some little shitbag who's giving them feedback, and it's like it's the worst advice possible. And like look at how much the player base is hemorrhaged. So,
well, let me get off the doom and gloom. What do you think is the proper steps to come back? Because like, there's one thing to be mad about it, and I think we've obviously shared a lot of our opinions on what is not good. What do we need to do to get the game back in a good state, in your guys' opinion? What's the first things, massive changes we need to do first?
Foxhole 2.
Maybe that is in the works and we don't know about it.
I mean, I don't know. I think it would have to be new game engine, new server, new server. Like it'd have to be something so fantastical and wildly cool. I don't think adjusting a couple tanks and rifles is gonna bring back 17,000 players. I think it's gonna have to be something like something they're gonna have to blow our minds or something. Like I think that's how they're gonna do it. Or they better nail every single update going forward. Better be a fucking home run, like a grand slam. I'm talking like they're in the bottom of the ninth. There's 2 strikes, 3 bases loaded, and the wind-up's coming, and it's coming in a couple days. And they've got this update. They've got one in August, and they've got one in late September. They better nail this shit, otherwise.
I think we only really have to worry is if they stop doing updates and give up. I mean,
Yeah.
they're working on things as best they can, and you
Sure.
can't have too many cooks in the kitchen as well if there's too many people trying to change things. So they probably got to kind of keep things limited to how much stuff they can
Right.
talk about. And
I just don't think it's going to be gear. I don't think it's going to be a piece of equipment. I think it's going to be some like they're going to have to really nail some quality of life stuff that people have been asking for. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I don't think there's going to be I don't think there's a piece of equipment or a tank or a rifle that's going to be like, "Oh my god, it was to play this game." It's going to be, "Holy shit, they made building like 10 times easier. They reduced the cost of facilities, like cut it in half. They made it so it only takes, half the time to cook something, like that kind of stuff. Hey, they finally put an anti-cheat software in the game. Some
Mhm.
they fixed. Oh shit! There's no more 1 minute deaths. There's no more 1 minute death spawn timers when you're out popping the other side. Yeah, I don't like that kind of stuff. Like, hey, we're gonna get rid of like 1 minute death spawn timers for everyone in the game, no matter what. Flat 10 seconds for everyone. If you die too many times, you get 30 seconds. That's it. Like that's the kind of stuff that'll be like, oh, okay, that's cool. Because those are the kind of things I think really hurt the game more than anything. Or like those weird little weird little mechanics they have that like, I mean, if you, God forbid, you log into Foxhole and you got 2 hours to play, your side's out popping the other side, and you log into a hex that has artillery going on, because you're gonna spend a good hour of your gameplay just in respawn, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
I think stuff like that would be really important. Um, I do appreciate that they're giving dev notes on a lot of their updates and stuff, but I'm beating a dead horse. I just think communication, quality of life is going to be way more important moving forward, and transparency, like
What do you
true
think
transparency.
for
What do
you?
you think, Cruz?
What do you think quality of life and like what quality of life changes do you see fixing the pop?
I mean, you're definitely looking at respect of time, and that goes over everything, right? That goes over loading tanks into a tank, or loading shells into a tank, that goes into scrooping, that goes into M subs, that goes into time that it takes to do shit that is not fun. Chores of the game need to be not gone, but need to be way fucking better. Way more
Amen to
scaled
that.
back. Because nobody in their fucking life loves the fucking the public cranes moving slower than shit. Why do we have slow fucking public cranes?
You know, like sitting there for 10 minutes pulling shirts out of a seaport publicly.
Like, there's just some things in the game
Second.
that would just make people lose their mind. Another thing, you know what would blow my mind? What if you could pull a full 60 crates of something
Yeah.
in one, instead of having to
Well,
pull
why can't
15. Why can't I pull a full load? Or why can't I move the slider to pull 45 of this and 10 of
10
the
of
other?
that? Yeah, the 100%.
Why
Yeah.
am I not able to just choose the quantity? Whether the time that you pick
Yep.
for it, whatever.
It could be
But
the same
why do
time,
I
but then
have
you could
to
actually walk away. You could actually like go
exactly?
take a piss, go get
Why
a
do I have to
drink.
click shit 30 times?
Yeah.
That's the type of shit that's like, it's not helping. Like the balance and shit. I spoke with Max in a DM and I posted it in my Discord. Balance can be fixed in a fucking war if something's out of tune. That's not what people need to be really like about. That can all get fixed literally in a hot fix. That's not a big deal. The other shit that's getting neglected and turned off the main stage, and like, that's the kind of stuff, again, and communication, transparency, I think that would go so much longer ways than anything else. I really do. Train switch for the drivers.
Yeah.
I mean, heaven for
Oh,
fucking
That'd be
bid.
pretty huge.
Tell me about that.
That'd
Oh,
be huge.
lordy.
Transfer to the drivers would be pretty cool.
My God.
But I mean, Kruuuze, what about? I mean, I play with these guys a lot, so I kind of like, I talk about this shit with them a lot. But like, I don't really know. as soon as tanks come out, I don't play fucking infantry. I got to keep it a buck. So I don't like go late game infantry gaming, and I really am not that good of a fighter pilot. What kind of quality of life are you really missing, or what do you think the game needs to do to heal?
I think people just need to go out there and have fun. I mean, I have a blast playing the game like every night, even when you mentioned earlier down to like 500 players. I recognize that too. I keep an eye on the numbers, and I'm out there playing during low pop hours, and I find that I'm still able to have a just as much fun as if there's 3,000 players on, because I just go to wherever the most active battle is, and there's always at least one or two. Usually there's between like 1 and 4 minimum, but recently it's been like one or two. Usually Deadlands is a big one. Last night we had Deadlands and Callum's Cape. And I just play it like a team deathmatch. I go to the front and I just keep respawning, and I just have fun doing that, fighting with the wardens and interacting with the players. And I have a blast flying the new planes. Like, I know not everybody has the same opinions on things, but I like flying the scout planes, and it's going to be fun to try and fly them around and trying to get good with them against the new anti-air stuff. Because I heard they're a lot more squishy than they used to be, but I was also thinking about when Chamberlain was talking about the viewpoint, and like maybe they could add some type of like, toggle view where you're driving or you're flying the plane in first person rather than the over the top. There's stuff that they can do to improve it, but I'm still like having a lot of fun with it and looking forward to seeing what else is to come in the future. They have plans for a lot more things.
Like, to piggyback off that, I think if they added a close cam, like a zoom in, if you could use your cinematic camera and fight in the zoom in, actually, I think that would go a long way for making the game feel cool and fresh. There's so much cool detail when you zoom in on stuff, and I think it'd be super cool if you could like zoom in and fight in that zoomed in view, because it's still top down, so you're not going against the grain of the game, and technically it's kind of a disadvantage if you're using close view while pushing like a bigger open area because you can't see your flanks. But if you're fighting inside like cities and alleyways and inside the bulwark, it would look so cool. Like if you're inside the bulwark and you zoom in, like fights in there would be so much fun. It's like it'd feel like that movie The Raid, like clearing hallways and stuff. It could be really fun because then you could use cover better and you'd feel like you're more in the fight. So maybe something like that. Maybe they take a little risk and they kind of deviate a little bit from some of their like more stuck in positions. Might make the game feel a little bit more fresh.
Imagine the content with that too. What that would look like in like TikTok or Instagram reel format to get a new player in. Like, what the hell is this game? This dude's rocking a, Lewis gun on top of a building, rocking down some, ward. Like, this looks sick. Like, I bet you people would eat that shit up too.
Yep, and that's another thing. I've mentioned this a lot. Is I would really like to be able to zoom in and rotate the camera on the spectator cam, because I spend a lot of time in the spectator cam because I go down a lot. So I think I could get some really cool viewpoints by being able to do those two actions: zoom in and rotate camera and spectator cam.
I don't know if this would ever be allowed or the amount of files that you would have to download for it. But you guys remember in like the old Black Ops lobbies where you could go through and get like the god view of like matches back in the day, and you could do replays. What if they ever did like a match replay system where you could go watch a war through the dev vision of like up top?
That'd be cool.
Or go to home region, be able to view spectator cams that are out there while you're waiting in queue or something. I mean,
Like,
obviously get rid of the queues if possible,
That
but
would be
that'd be
badass.
so sick, dude. Like
there's so much cool stuff they could do to this game. Like just little things like that. Like you're right, 100%. Like there's little things like that they could add to the game that just add some more flavor. Like I feel like I feel so lucky sometimes when that camera just cuts just right to like where you can see like that horizontal view of the world and you just see things happening. You're like, damn, dude, I really wish I could watch the game just like this and just sit here and watch the fight for a little bit. Like those are the kind of things I think it would help kind of pop the game in a different direction, but keep the game interesting too.
Yeah, I think stuff like that. I mean, it always comes down to the same thing, right? Like once you get past all the like ooh rah rah bullshit. I think a lot of what the main veterans want and a lot of the main people that really are passionate about the game really just want quality of life and to be heard more and like to be talked to more, let in the loop, I guess. I think what it boils down to. And I think they're making strides for it, but I do think they make a lot of mistakes in the choices that they do make. And I don't want to give every single time the devs make a silly mistake like this just an easy write off. Like it, it is what it is. It's always an accident. But I seriously think like a PR team or just somebody that's very good with community management to step in and also get the wishes. Because they're also, here's another thing too. And Badman Larry said it, Chamberlain, you've now said it. If they're getting their analysis from fucking Reddit and the FOD, God help this game.
Yeah.
If we need a filter from them so they don't say silly stuff or make silly mistakes like the plane of jealousy or whatever, or the Worden gunboat's supposed to be better than the colonial one. Shit like that should never go through to the public because it creates bad double standards. But there also needs to be a siphon between the fucking toxicity and the player base to the devs because they get. Can you guys imagine? Like, this is something I always try to think of for the devs. Can you imagine how many fucking pings and shit they see a day about their game? I can't fucking fathom. Like, we can't sit there for 15 minutes and look through Reddit without going, this is fucking nuts. This is just a cesspool. It's their job, bro. Like, Max fucking looks tired in the fucking
Oh my God,
streams,
that video.
bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder the motherfucker
Good
looks tired,
God.
bro, because he got to go look at that shit for fucking 12 hours. I'd be fucking sipping this Jack Daniels all fucking day if I had to do that, bro.
Yeah.
You know, there needs to be a filter between us to them too. That's the thing
Yeah.
that also pisses me off is they're dudes. You know, they made the game that we fucking love and we talk shit on. That's the thing that also makes me mad. Some people want to see the game burn. A lot of us don't. But
Yeah.
they need fucking filters too from us because heaven forbid, bro, there's a lot of shitheads in this community too. And there's nothing we can do to clean it. You know, other than talk shit on them, get them out best we can. Like, but I think the last thing that I am kind of curious to see what you guys are thinking too about update 64 before I get into my more generic questions. Do you guys think that this is going to be a popped war?
What do you mean? Like, is there be a hype off on this war?
Do you think that this war is going to be well received? Like this update war, do you think there's going to be a lot of players on it, honestly?
I'm hoping for 5,000 day one. That's my.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God. Sorry, I just thought about something.
If it's, I mean, Charlie players are coming over, it's a new war, new update. So you probably, I mean, like what Chamberlain said, 5,000, maybe 4,000. It's hopeful.
Yeah, I think it'll do better than the current war.
Yeah.
This. Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm going to try to get... I'm not going to lie. Bone was pretty crushed about the Ransor thing and the Bard thing, but I'm going to try to get my guys to play. I really want to get into
How do you feel
war.
about the dive bomber, Berg? I know you use that quite a bit in its previous state.
I'm going to be 100%. They gave it the... I'm just going to be flat out honest. Remove the fucking torp bomber and the dive bomber. I know that sounds bland in their world, like, why would you remove this? But they've made them so fucking, like, it's either they're going to be this end of the spectrum or this end, and right now they're at the dog shit end. I don't see any purpose in making a dive bomber other than turreting a frigate or a naval ship. Like, actually doing CAS on air to ground, I think it's so piss poor I think you're paying for a high velocity or a fucking super expensive Varsi is what I think you're paying for with a massive facility. Like, I really think that it's bad. I actually really thought it was going to have resurgence when it got to drop both bombs at the same time. And something that I'm really not happy about is there's still not flak over the water. That still is bewildering to me how we don't have flak over the water, because the dive bomber now has to go against sea fighters, which are its very hard counter, which are going to shred it to shit. It also has to deal with mobile flak, and if you're fighting in an entrenched position, you're fighting more accurate, heavier damage flat guns. And now I have to loiter 6 seconds in between dropping bombs that I won't even be able to kill a tank with. I'm literally looking to track stuff. Why would I pay that much to go get a track or a subsystem damage that I
Couldn't
could...
you run a team of dive bombers?
I mean, you could, but again, how much more am I throwing in the sky that would be more cost effective to do with Bane gangs or, just running actual tanks? Because you're also running rare metals, a ton of expensive Azmats, and again, they have very hard counters that are going to be like, how many fighters to actually, how many dive bombers to really kill a light tank? Now you would need 2 dive bombers. You would need 2 dive bombers to kill an outlaw.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean, they said too. They don't like. I kind of understand the fact that they don't want like 2 dudes to basically dictate an entire tank line. So I can kind of
I
understand
get
that
it,
part of
right?
it.
But the
It's
price
just,
of it, and
but the
it just...
price, yeah. If they're gonna make what they should do is remove the rare cost of planes, make
Yes.
them paper thin, easy to destroy, but super easy to make, and then just make them throwaway. And then you can keep them with the stats they have. That'd be fine. But then you could actually put a shitload of planes in the air, and then you're boom, you're good. You have because then you just micro adjust a couple stats here, couple stats there, and just get it. So there's a little bit of decent flight time. You can stay in the air for a little bit as long as you're not in combat. But combat's quick, combat's fast. It's different. Whereas like tanks in this game are like long drawn out affairs with the occasional rush, right? Then you have infantry gaming is very much shoot and scoot. You have naval warfare, which is very slow, very methodical, hours of work, hours of waiting for that 10 seconds of combat where it's like the most gut-wrenching shit you'll ever do in the game. And then airplane should be bam, 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 fast, 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 doom, gone. You know what I mean? In, out, gone. Like that's how planes should be fighting. It should be, you should have different stages of combat. That way you have different flavors of fighting in the game. That way like things don't feel repetitive. Right now, I feel like when I was doing dogfighting, it kind of feels like shittier tank battling when you're going up against planes because you're just like blow by him, strafe him for a second, turn around, blow by him, strafe him for a second, turn around, and you have to do that for like minutes and minutes, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm out of fuel, got to go back and refill, and then you don't really have too many combat kills, and you're like, okay, got to go refill, repair, get back out there and do the same thing again. Like I don't know, maybe I'm not finding the right kind of fights, but I mean that's what I was going up against in the last war when we were like going out with like 4 or 5 of us every time and fighting Deadlands. It was like doing all these sorties and stuff, and I was like, I mean, it was cool to shoot down scouts, but I don't feel like we weren't dropping as nearly as many fighters as they were dropping of us, and it just felt like there was a lot of work with a little bit of payoff, and it's like, man, that shit's expensive. Like plane parts are not cheap. That shit's not cheap at all. So just you feel the pain every time one went down.
And that's just my 2 cents on it. Like the dive bomber, will be the first one to say was insanely oppressive, dude. Like I will not even imagine how annoying it was to try to build a relic or anything. I killed 4 fucking CVs trying to build 1 relic. Like, dude, I'm not gonna fucking beat around the bush and say that shit was not oppressive. Like, not a doubt in my mind. Do I agree that dive bombers shouldn't be oppressive considering they don't have a cast plane. I mean, sure, right? I don't think it's good for one player, and this goes for any asset in the game. One player should not dictate 20 players' gameplay. Like, I just will never see it like that. And like one badass dive bomber should not be fucking up tank lines. Like, and you easily could do that. But at the other half, when your combat load can't really do any substantial damage to tank lines, and there are very easy hard counters for your very expensive plane, in my opinion, it's not worth it. Torpedo bomber is kind of under the same thing. Like, they have a 20% chance to cause a large hole now. I think the torpedo bomber still has the better of it because they don't have hard AA counters other than 20 mil boats that will not kill it fast enough, ever. And they also have more range to drop. So again, I think the dive bomber is in a worse state than the torpedo bomber, but I think both should just be removed entirely. I think it should just be bombers, fighters, and scouts right now, because those are at least counterable and also fun-ish, still effective. But I think the torp bomber and dive bomber, I think it's stupid. Again, they try to do this wishy-washy bullshit where they don't have this, like, this is also something that I have a suggestion for the devs. Any single thing you add to one side needs to be added to the other side in a different way. So, for instance, like, the best example I can give is, like, for the heavy flamethrower. The Colonials just do not have one. The Collies need a variant of a heavy flamethrower, but it shouldn't be on, like, a Bardiche chassis. It shouldn't be the exact same thing that the Wardens have, a heavy armored flame tank. What if they gave us a heavy flamethrower tripod set, and we could throw it on half tracks and fucking whatever. I that's not my actual idea.
Flame plane called the Dragon.
Shit,
Flames.
you know what I'm saying?
Flame Scorpion.
Flame Scorpion. Like, but what I'm saying is, in any asset that they add to the game, like, let's even go for what they're trying to do now with the Spatha with Outlaw, a 45 meter 40 mil. If that's a hard point, I'll call it, one side gets it, the other side should have the exact same opportunity in a different variation. That's where the asymmetry should come, but both sides should have the same opportunity, if that makes sense. And I think that it's dumb that the Colonials don't have a torpedo bomber and the Wardens don't have a cast plane, a dive bomber. I think it's so ass backwards when they add stuff like that and try to compare them, because it's just weird.
Couldn't the dive bomber be almost considered the equivalent of a bone law as far as damaging the enemy vehicles?
Not anymore.
Yeah, true, not anymore with the change. But
Kinda, yeah.
Back in the day, sure, 100%. 100%. I mean, you could kill anything but a BT with your load if you hit every bomb. You could kill one specific tank, any tank in the game besides BTs. And you could disable BTs, just like a bone law could. That's exactly what it was like. And it was a lot harder to counter the plane, though. So, yeah, a lot more expensive, though, too, to be fair. But, these are the kind of things that when I look at, like, balance in the game, and a lot of people aren't going to like my take on this. I don't think the Spatha changes are that bad. I think that they do need to give a little bit more incentive for the Spatha over the Outlaw, because right now, outside of, I think 700 health and I think 4% DPS increase in the poke meta, which is the game, I don't think the Spatha actually has a severe difference in gameplay to the Outlaw, and I don't think it actually adds up for anything. Like, in a sustained fight where they're going shot for shot, the Spatha theoretically, I guess, should win, but with bounce and shit, it's a 50-50 coin flip. But again, the Outlaw has boost, the Outlaw has a machine gun. It's just weird. Like, this is where the asymmetry comes in. Like, if the hard point is 45 meter tanks for both factions, 40 mil, one severely lacking flavor and style. You know what I mean? Like that's where I feel like people are misinterpreting the difference between collies and wardens. The flavor is not being added to the colonials in a lot of areas. And I don't know. I I'm very interested to see what they do going forward. I actually think that's kind of funny though, Kruuuze, that you talked about a flame plane. Something I suggested a while ago for the colonials is to get a napalm bomb on the bottom of dive bombers. I
Okay,
suggested that a
good.
while ago.
That's a good one.
I think it'd be interesting to
You know
see.
they'll do fire bombs eventually with the heavy bombers, I imagine.
I
Once
think
they
that'd be
get stuff
cool.
worked out,
I think it'd be really cool, dude. Can you
they'll
imagine
definitely go into.
dropping Fortunate Son as you're dropping
Yeah.
palm on a fucking base, dude? Come on, baby. The content, baby. Come on. But I guess the last thing here, but you know, not talking about this, but if there was, like, I always ask this question, if there's one thing you could add to the game, no matter what it is right now, what would it be? It could be anything. What
About
would you
removal.
add? You could even take the removal. If you could do anything to the game right now, what would it be?
Get rid of population mechanic balance.
The fun mechanic?
All pop mechanic balance is removed from the game. That's how I would
What?
do.
What's that mean, Chimba?
Yeah, for people that don't know.
Basically, what that means is anytime you outnumber the enemy, you're penalized basically for playing the game, and you'll be restricted from competing in a hex that doesn't have as many enemy, and so you have to basically sit there and wait for the enemy to just show up. So that removes all strategy from the game. You cannot do ambushes. You can't do surprise naval landings. You can't do blitzkriegs in this game. You can't really do like heavy backline insertion or anything like that because or even bring in like a huge fleet into a hex to lay waste to like say a coastline unless they have equal or slightly less players than you. I just think that removes so much gameplay and so many strategies from a military war game where I think blitzing and ambushes are critical for a video game.
So Orca brings up a good question though. Isn't that the point of invasion bonus though?
So I just think that and also if you outnumber the enemy too much in the world, you get these 1 minute respawn timers, which I just think is torture. It's torture to sit there and wait 1 minute every single time you die in a game where you're alive for maybe 10 to 15 seconds in a clip. So you're alive for 10 seconds, you die, you wait a minute. You're alive for 30 more seconds, you wait for you get killed, you're down for a minute. Like that's a terrible gameplay loop. I just don't think in 2026 it's a good idea to make anybody wait to play a video game. And I think it hurts the game a lot. I think a lot of people, they log in, they want to see where their buddies are, and they go, oh man, my buddies are in Deadlands. Cool. All right, let's go log in. 15 player queue, you gotta wait, or a 30 player queue, you gotta wait. And then you go into the hex and you realize, wait, why was I queued? There's only like 45 guys in here. That's because there's only like 20 wardens. And you're like, oh, so wait a minute, I waited an hour because if a hex is max pop, a hex is max pop. I get that. A server can only work so hard. I can understand a queue being kicked in the game then, but I just if a hex gets rolled, for me personally, if a hex gets rolled, a hex gets rolled. There's 53 hexes you can fight in. If one goes down, big deal. Move on to another one. It's a game. Who cares? I don't want to sit there and wait 3 hours to play a video game though. When
Yeah, 100%.
you only have an hour or two to play, why do you and your buddies are all playing in a hex that is queued for an hour? So I'm supposed to go sit in the corner, watch my boys have fun while I talk them in Discord and watch them play foxhole. That's not
And
very
then
fun
to
foxhole
top
experience.
that, you're also out popping them usually in that situation. So when you get in, if you didn't set your spawn, A, get fucked, get another queue, and then B, the worst part of it is when you start to go in and you're out popping them in the world pop, and then boom, you die to Artie, and then after waiting an hour, then you get a
Good
minute
God.
spawn timer, fucking
In-
double up.
In my opinion, I think that's what really killed the airborne pop. I really do. I don't think it was necessarily a piece of gear. I don't think it was airplanes. I think there was some straws that broke the camel's back, but I think people were they were really excited to play the airborne expansion, and then 2 weeks of 3-hour queues, I think just cooked everyone, and they're like, "This is not what I signed up for," Like, yeah, I did not sign up to play Foxhole to wait in queue for an hour. And I had to wait every single day for an hour to get into Hex to play with my friends. Sometimes 2 to 3 hours. And then God forbid you leave that Hex, you ain't getting back in. Priorities don't work in this game. It's a complete work. It doesn't it's a lie.
Yeah.
So
I also
I've,
feel
I've
like it's
left
not.
I've left so many hexes with priority queue only to try to go back in, and they're like, "Yep, you're next in line or you're third in line." It's like, wait a minute, I have priority queue. I should be able to walk back in there with a 15-minute timer. Nope.
It's really
like,
buggy. That
that's
is
not fun, man.
true. It's sometimes like Showtime just popped in on chat here and said the pop balance has been buggy as well. It's sometimes unbalanced as shit. And I think I've seen that too, where you see screenshots of like fucking 70 to 80 dots, to 110 dots on the other side. And you can't
Yeah.
really go off that because there's lag and latency with like the dots sometimes, but it's like a clear unbalance without invasion pop, and it's like,
That was
what the
weird. Yeah,
fuck's
'cause
going on with
that
that?
happened in Terminus on the last days of last war. I counted something like 30. I think I counted like something like 30 to I think it was like 35 to 40 collies and almost 70 wardens, and the collies had a 13-player queue. And
Yeah,
I was reinforcing. I was talking to wardens who were like, "Yeah, dude, we've got like 70 guys in here right now." And I'm F1ing my screen. I'm showing them. I'm like, "We only have 35 dudes in this X. Do you see our queue right now? We got 13-player queue. We have guys in the queue right now waiting." And even wardens were like, "Holy shit! Like, what's going on with this game? Like, why are the collies queued right now if they're like almost 20 something players under for pop?
maybe they need
Why
to
are they
look
queued?"
into it. Maybe it might
I think
just be
they need
glitched.
to look in their code of the game. I think there's like if these guys and like like I said, sorry, I think if these guys can't balance, if these guys have a hard time balancing, um, like boats and tanks and all this stuff, and they're like letting this shit fall through the cracks, what are they letting fall through the cracks for the coding of the game? Then you know what I mean? If there's only 15 of them and they're having this hard of a time keeping the game in balance, are they adjusting the code constantly too? Like that shit needs daily maintenance. Like my wife works in that field, and she works in QA and she's looking at code constantly. And you move one picture around on a website and that can completely cripple like 5 different things down the line. I mean, and this code is what 10 years old now. That's ancient. That's ancient in the technology world. And this is basically what isn't this like a Frankenstein game to begin with?
Yeah,
Didn't they have
it's
to like
running
really?
on
Didn't they really
4.
have to like? They really had to like use like tape and some elbow grease to like make an Unreal 4 engine work as an MMO. So who's to say that like the code is clean and working as intended? Because like I said, if we're finding issues like that where some mechanics are not working as intended, and it's like actually like that was the first time I was like kind of scratching my head when I saw that in Terminus. I was like, why are we queued when they're outnumbering us by almost 25 people? That was weird. Yeah, everyone was like kind of like, okay, what do we do? What do we do with this? Like, how do we make the devs even aware of this? We have no way to reach out to them either.
Stop,
Like,
dude. We're going right back in circles.
they
Give
give
me
us-
a community manager.
Well, they give us 3 hours of their attention a year. They do what, 3 updates a year? So they give us 3 hours of their attention a year where they grace us with their presence, and it's the only time we hear them speak. It's like fucking the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Mark speaks, and then we're all like, oh, all hail the wonderful Mark, and then he disappears again until the next update. And then you never hear from him again. There's no correspondence with him. So if you find shit that breaks, how do you fix that? What is the steps to like report that? Like you go into FOD, dude. FOD's a shit show.
Hey,
Absolute shit
Chamberlain.
show.
Hey, there was a really smart podcast that spoke about this a few times. You should go check it out. It's called the Boneyard Podcast, and these guys they said that there's no way to communicate with the fucking developers, and that they should have a community manager and or a ticket system that you can just directly communicate with them. Fucking crazy, bro. I'm telling you, 90% of issues could get solved by one fucking guy. Or a team. Honestly, a team would be better. Right? A team
Wasn't that
would be
Max's
better.
job?
Yes.
Wasn't that Max's
And the
job?
thing is, like, I don't know, like, exactly what all happened, but I know this is, like, involvement with Badman Larry's ban and shit. Like, Badman Larry apparently, like, I'm not going to speak in allegations, but if you research that and go look into that, there's some sketchy shit you can see, and you can draw your own conclusions. I'm not going to instigate shit that I'm not fully aware of the full situation, but if you know anything about foxhole drama, there was a lot of fucking stir up with Max being the mediation guy. I'll just say that. There was a lot of integrity in question. That's what I'll put that as. So take that with what you will. I don't know anything about the situation. I was not there. It's all third person accounting. Take that as you will. Go research that. But yes, I do 100% believe if, like, and maybe we should even vote fucking people in, right? Like, genuinely, I think people that, if you had people on both sides that were diehards, and then you had people that were unbiased from outside the company in, I feel like that would be the best mix of a team. Because then you have people fighting for fairness on their side, and then also people that can look at, like, blatant bullshit getting spewed. I just, you're right. There's no communication from us to the devs, and there's no feedback system. And it's hurting. Like, I watched a video someone posted in Reddit the other day, and it's talking about how video games hurt themselves, and that was like the first thing they talk about is lack of communication from the actual players to the developers, and that was like one of the number one reasons people or games die nowadays. And you're right, and I you said that about Terminus. Chamberlain, didn't we have the same thing in King's Cage in 132? Where when they took the bone base at the Ocelot Bridge, I'm pretty sure we got a screenshot of like 120 dots on the warden side. Or some shit like that. And it was after a server crashed because of cloud flaring. And then that's when our base got rolled. And there was no invasion bonus, but they had like over full pop. It was really weird. So I'm actually curious. Did we just start a conspiracy in the Boneyard podcast?
Yeah.
Oh fuck, dude, Chamberlain, you just started a whole new conspiracy, dude. Kruuuze, I feel like you're quiet up there, bro. What do you think
I'm
about
good. I
all
was
this?
just looking at this town base, and I was just thinking, man, it'd be cool to have some like doors to put on there, like as an option, where then we could just like bust the door down, but you'd have the doors before they busted it down. I don't know. I was just thinking about that and listening.
I feel like they've always missed out on urban combat, and they should add floors instead of just popping up into the second floor. They already have the stairs for a lot of the buildings, like kind of modeled in. Like, why can't they just add a second? They can do floors because they do it on the boats. So why can't they just reformat the cities and make urban combat like fight through the floors? Imagine like open windows where you could like set up tripods and ambush spots and could really dig in inside a city.
Okay, let's really talk about cities though, right? Why are there not hexes that are just full cities? And like the only thing you can build in these, the only thing you should be able to have is like checkpoint, like relic bases and shit in the city that have like open clearings and stuff that you could like set up medical tents, and then that's like it though, right? Like there's no AI building, there's just fucking urban combat, dude.
It'd be amazing, yeah.
Stalingrad, bro. Yeah. Come on, sitting in the fucking what's that one famous building that was in Stalingrad that like the Germans held out? Yeah, dude, they held forever. Yeah. They held out forever.
Yeah.
Great, dude. Like you could do that, bro. You could have like your own variation of Silver Island in the middle of a city, dude, with like your machine guns in the windows that you're talking about, fucking ATRs
dropping
poking.
supplies in.
Yeah, dude, dropping a fucking tankette from the sky, bro. Like, come on. The LARP would be so real, dude. It would be so cool. And speaking of that, actually, I am very curious what you guys think about the new anchoring mechanics. And this is like some way of keeping partisanship alive, but in the worst way imaginable, instead of just letting us put them in stockpiles. And also, they still haven't fixed we're still going to be craning vetted vehicles because we can't throw those in a fucking stockpile either. Why? Like, do you guys like this change, or do you feel like it's a beat around the bush to not let us put them in stockpiles? What do you guys think about it?
I don't know the reason for not letting us put them in stockpiles, but it seems like putting them in stockpiles should be a thing. Just like I feel you should be able to build a plane and throw it in your stockpile and then be able to pull it out fully built.
That's the thing that just kills it. The one aspect I can see of why they want us to keep battle tanks and super heavies out is for like partisans to come drop with like sticky grenades to come sabotage your battle tank. Like, that is something I can see LARP wise making sense. You drop in to kill the Gustav cannon, quote unquote. Like, I get that, but like for vetted vehicles, I don't know, or at least letting us build a facility building to store them in too. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know how I fuck with this change, because I don't think that they should be stolen. I'm down for that.
Oh, what's gonna be messed up is when, an alt gets into a train and then parks it on a busy railroad track and then fucking does locks it for 2 days, and
Anchors
it's just
it.
sitting there. And you're like, oh, well, can't use this track. So you gotta go back to your facility, grab pecans, make a new whole new railroad track.
Whoa,
Or just
Plid.
destroy the train.
I was gonna say, it's a war game, baby. You got boom
Wouldn't
boom.
it be friendly? Wouldn't it be friendly fire though?
Yeah, but who the fuck cares?
No, you can wrench friendly. You can wrench. The anchor thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can still destroy them. You'll catch a friendly fire. You'll catch a 2-day, 20-minute van. But I mean, that's how you'll do it. You just destroy the engine and then go hook up your train and tow those out. And get rid of them. That's pretty much that's what I assumed people were gonna do.
A lot of fucking.
But you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what's gonna. That's absolutely gonna happen because we can't have nice things.
Well, right, but at the same time, like, I don't know how many partisans are going to go out of their way to fucking make a train to go park it and stupid shit, right?
Brother, I found the dude who went through and hand pulled every single EMSUP out of every single bunker base in Heartlands once. He did it. It took him 12 hours. Hand pulled,
dude.
Delete, and he basically tried to delete every single base in Heartlands,
guys,
and tried to decay out. I mean, some of these guys, man, have time on their hands. You'd be very surprised what a dude with no life will do.
Tankin just brought up something. Thank you for the sub, by the way. But Tankin just brought up something fucking hilarious in chat. Proceeds to park SHT on rail bridge so you can't get around. Try getting a fucking SHT kill. Like,
that's
fuck me, dude. That's gonna be so AIDS. I didn't even think about that, dude. Like a BT on a rail bridge. Get fucking cooked, dude. What are you gonna do? Bro, holy shit. They gotta revert that now. I can't even believe I didn't think of that. Oh my god, the Ares paperweight now has a purpose, though. An alt's wet dream! Yes! Yes! Holy shit! Man, Tankin's cooking in the chat, boys. God damn. The paperweight has meaning, gentlemen. How do we feel about that? Oh, man. What a fucking year to be alive, eh, boys? Man. Well, hey, that being said, I am a little scared of one word in tank, though. Got some pretty nasty buffs, and I'm kind of for it. The Warden's STD got a 35% turn rate
For
increase.
yeah.
That's gonna be
That's good.
scary, dude. I'm happy because I think
Yeah.
casemates need a lot of love anyway.
Sure,
Because
sure.
tank destroyers should be tank destroyers, and a
You
lot
know
of
what the
them were
tank?
zippy.
You know the one tank that they're not talking about that I'm actually kind of worried about? It's the stability rate, it's the stability buff of the scout tank. No one's talking about that.
Oh
The scout
yeah.
tank is going to be hyper accurate now. And
Well,
that thing's going
so
to
is
be and it's faster.
tankette. So is
Yeah,
tankette though.
but the scout tank's got a little bit more
Yeah,
oomph
100%.
behind it, and
Hmm.
it's got a faster rate, a better rate of fire, a better control, but now it has stability. So now that's going to be it's actually going to be, because like that was the ward's number one complaint is it's very unstable when you start shooting. Now it has stability, and I'm like, ooh, that's
Why
gonna
have we
be
not updated the
dangerous.
Scorpion though? Then too, like that is something that kind of gets me. Is the Scorpion used to be like one of my favorite tanks because of how laser accurate those machine guns were and how good it was at mulching infantry. And after the machine gun like nerf that happened a while ago, I don't know. Scorpions have not felt that like good to me. And with like the iteration, especially with trailers now being garages, Scorpions seem very power crept because they used to be like the frontline supply truck, right? You would just carry all the B-mats and fuel
Yeah.
and shit in there. But with the introduction of heavy haulers and towing like fuel canisters, it's kind of lost its niche as the frontline heavy armored like
That's a good point.
I feel like it needs a niche. Scorpion feels very weird in my eyes anymore because it's not accurate like it used to be. It's kind of lost its niche being the frontline, Logi. It's weird. I would like to see something change with the Scorpion. I don't know what they want to do with it, but feels getting a little cast out. Don't get me wrong, good Scorpion never go wrong, but you know what I mean. It's just one of those things.
Sure.
I feel like it's getting a little outdated. But other than that, dude, like I don't know. I feel like we kind of went super far off. Did I get through everyone's what they wanted to add? That was a long talk there.
I think we did.
Kruuuze, did we get yours?
Yeah, well, I mentioned I would really like to be able to zoom in and rotate the camera in the spectator
Oh,
cam,
right.
and
Yeah.
something beyond that, that I have no idea what I would even suggest, would be to somehow smooth and make the transitions between the regions more smooth. It's kind of like a flashing screens. Sometimes it doesn't really look clean. I think a smoother transition would be nice between regions.
You know what would be kind of cool in that too is when you're transferring regions. What if they had a little lore pop up, like a little loading screen almost, like a little lore pop up, give you a little lore education. I don't know. It's something small, but I think that'd be kind of cool. You know, maybe a little something like that. I don't
For
know if
sure.
that's what you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about like a cool animation that
Kind
you're
of just
like
something,
going through.
anything, something visually different than sometimes you get like a screen where it's just a pure white screen, or it's like, the camera doesn't look like it's at a good angle or something. There's something to make it better, improve the transitions, and like adding little lore stuff would be cool too, because you kind of have to search out for that stuff. It's not really shown to you ever.
Yeah, I think the lore should be more implemented in the game, and I think we should like. I feel like not Kali. I feel like the player base should learn more through the lore, just actively playing it, not something we should go like have to study. You know what I mean? Like extra. I feel like that'd be kind of cool. Something Chamberlain, you're old enough to remember this
Yeah.
with lore. Um, didn't they used to like you would grab a pipe and some fish, and if you went to a certain spot, a dev would appear there every week?
Yeah, on Tuesdays, yeah, like around noon. Yeah, they used to do a little scavenger hunt back in the day. So you'd go pick up in Oleander in home on Heartlands. You'd go pick up a book, hollowed out book, with a piece of it was like a little scavenger hunt, and then that would send you to like I think Fisherman's Row, and then you'd have to go to Fingers, and then and they would drop it. They would do it once a week, and then you would end up having to stop at back at the castle in Heartlands in near Oleander, and one of the devs, I remember seeing them up there. They would just be standing there waiting for you at like noon, and that's when I first saw the officer uniform. And they would just stand there and just basically we would just throw Monty Python quotes at each other. I'm not sure which dev it was. It wasn't Mag. It was like I think it was like Mark or I think it was it might have been um, not Mark, not Julian. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Julian, but yeah, and they would be sitting there wearing like the officer uniform. This is a year and a half before the officer uniform was even showcased. But that was pretty cool. That was back when they had some time and the game felt when the game was a lot smaller. This is back when the map was like quarter of the size it is now, and there's maybe 1,000 people playing.
Question as well, going back to map size, since you brought said that. Do you guys like the change that it's back to the pond system and not an ocean?
No. I understand like they said why because they don't want like basically when whoever establishes ocean naval supremacy basically dominates both sides of the map, so they want to give at least both sides 2 chances. But
yeah, I mean, I think
get it, but
I think naval hexes should have more to them, but at the other half, like it's crazy that Akali's saying that, but I really wish the naval hexes had more to them. I wish that
we had more ocean. If we had open ocean,
exactly,
it'd probably be easier.
So like having an actual midway kind of island in the middle. So like, let me look at.
I just don't know why they just can't do like since like servers aren't size dependent; they're like scale dependent, right? It's not about like so they could technically have like a 8 hex ocean server and make it one big server. You know what I mean? Just make it the size of 8 hexes, but it's actually just one big server. And I can't imagine maintaining that server with water and like pretty much no other assets would be that expensive outside of when people show up. So yes, you do have a server that initially for a few days won't have anything going on, but then you're creating a playground for your boats to like go get lost and go out there and potentially have big open naval battles where planes can't mess with them.
I've never thought about that.
And dive bombers can't reach, and you can actually have and where a fleet could actually disappear and go untracked,
That would actually be so gangster. I've never thought about it in this regard that, like, let's be honest, is every hex even the same fucking size?
No. They're moving 2 sub-hexes. I mean, like, same size, I guess, in terms of square footage. Like, each is 126, 126, each square is 126 meters. I think they're like 2,000 meters across, something like that. I can't remember from end to end. Like, measure-wise, it's the same. But
my question, right, is what you were just saying. Like, what if the naval hexes, like, right, the cutoff would be right at the naval. What if these hexes... I think they would have to change a lot of the naval hexes, like especially like these 3 and these 3 against like not the islands, right? So anything like referring to the islands, I guess it'd be kind of the J, but like Fisherman's, Oarbreaker, Stemma, Lycos, Tempest, and Godscroft. What if these were like exactly what you said, where these were like imagine this would be 32 hexes. Right, and like only have one little small island every like little section, but like when you're traversing, and you're going through and through and through and through and through, like it would take you like maybe 10 to 15 minutes just to get halfway through the hex, right? And then you keep going through and through and through and through and through and through, and if you're cutting straight through the line, right? Because normally it only takes you like maybe 5 minutes to get from end to end in a hex if you don't have to like turn, right? But what if the hex size, exactly what you were saying, was a different, like, let's say this is a 30 by 30. This would be like a 90 by 90, right? And dude, that would be so sick, dude.
Yeah.
You're talking about like wolf packs going and hunting big fleets, like,
yeah,
with nothing else out there, you could bump these servers I guarantee you they could bump the servers to have like 300 people in them, dude.
They could easily do that because there's no
Dude,
other assets to load
you're
because they
talking,
don't have to worry about
bro.
loading buildings and
Like,
concrete and
one battleship, 2 destroyers, fucking aircraft carrier with 2 more destroyers,
yeah.
just fucking flotilla, and then just going to set up at like a little island for a push campaign into Morgan's, right? And like, dude, you're talking about legit naval invasions. Like, they could set up camp in Stemma for an actual invasion on Origin, dude, and they could have an actual D-Day. Like, holy shit, dude, that'd be so sick. And they could just be churning bluefins and bluefins and bluefins of Logi to like sustain everything going on out there. And then when they're anchored, they're like a little floating city. Like, fuck, dude. They would have aircraft cover because of carriers. Bro, you're talking some... Chambo's talking some heat, dude.
Oh, brother, I'm just getting started, man. I could legitimately fix this game in a night if they gave me control of the game for a night, dude. I could turn this game on its head and make this game like 10 times better. Easily get the.
You guys heard it here first.
Things.
Chamberlain for president 2025 or 2026.
This game hasn't even scratched the surface of its potential. I mean, like, all right, here's the biggest fumble they did. Not giving us buildable runways. Just runways. I'm not talking airfields. I'm not talking the actual depots and all that shit. That's fine. Those can be world spawns. But the fact that they put airfields on the islands, the dumbest thing they could have done. If they really wanted us incentivized to use naval, they should have let us have to build our own runways on those islands out there, all the small islands, because then you'd have to create a whole Pacific Theater campaign where your guys are constantly trading and having to create like impromptu airfields, and then you actually give airfields value. You actually give the islands value, because like right now they don't, because like there's no point to really take them, because it's like you can claim them no problem, but like it takes so long to tech them out that you can't land at them. There's no utility for them because you'll never hold them long enough, or you'll never get a chance to like really get them back up and running. Whereas you could easily, like, if you could build like little quick runways, you could build airfields out in the middle of nowhere, even on the main map, because right now everything's advertised. Like, intel is so freely given that you know exactly where shit is. Why? At least if they gave us the ability to like build like our own like provisional roads, like runways, then you could actually like put down like impromptu airfields in the middle of nowhere. Like, think of like England, in early Battle of Britain, where they were like putting airfields out in the middle of like farmlands, because like the Germans knew where all the main airfields were, so they had to actually put like airfields like in the middle of nowhere where the Germans couldn't find them. Why can't we do that? And like imagine some of these mid hexes that don't have like a lot of activity, and you're just putting like a secret runway in, or like on an island that has not a lot of activity, you put a runway out there, just a place to refuel and rearm. That's it. You can do light repairs, you can't do replacements parts or anything. You got to go back to a depot for that.
Well, or you could bring out, because now you can do part repairs out on an airfield like small that planes, because small planes. But that's all that would matter, because fighters are what you'd want to be taking. Bombers should be taking off. This is something I suggested before Airborne, or right after Airborne happened. Like, bombers should only be coming out of like the back, like let's call it the back 8 hexes, right? Like Heartland's, Ash, Shackled. Like these, the big, thick, heavy airfield should be the like Viper. God dang it! I don't want. Stop doing that. Like Vipers, Reaching, Basin, Howl, like all these places where bombers should be taking off, because they're so far back, it would take a legit strategic bombing run to go kill this stuff. But like airfields, I really like where your head's at, and especially now that you could like literally bring a train with pallets, or actually not, you could just literally bring a truckload of airplane parts for small aircraft and put them in a bunker.
Well, imagine intercepting that boat. Imagine being a submarine,
exactly,
intercepting fuel ships and parts boats, and just shipping vessels. Like, you give submarines more to do too, because if you don't have like as much stuff on those islands and you're using just for like runway stuff, then you're gonna have to constantly be shipping stuff to them.
Mm-hmm.
nonstop. So therefore, you create shipping lanes. Like there's not a lot of shipping lanes in this game. So submarines have nothing else to do except for basically hunting capital ships. But that's a very Japanese approach to submarine warfare. Most of the countries were engaged in commercial war into merchant warfare with submarines. It was about hunting merchant ships. So hunting iron ships, not hunting capital ships. Only the Japanese were interested in hunting capital ships, and that didn't work out so well for them. But in Foxhole, that's how they've designed it. So because they don't really incentivize using iron ships or large boats to move stuff, it's considered like LARP, like the bowhead and stuff like that. They need to incentivize us using those resource ships and using iron ships and maybe make a fuel tanker to move fuel better like across the ocean. But
People have been asking for that forever too. A fuel freighter. But like this kind of goes back to Chamberlain. If you remember 126 when Bone and Horde went and built Breaker Town, that was literally one of my favorite wars ever. Because Breaker Town had a factory, period. That was all that Breaker Town had in it. And I remember it held off super heavies, artillery, ops. They ended up nuking Breaker Town because they couldn't take it from sandbags and tier 2 bullshit slop.
And it was back up in 6 hours.
And that if you could have tenacious defense like that and actually have like pop-up runways and stuff that you can defend and people want to defend and like make it your own strategy, like, dude, I never used provisional roads. I thought they were the biggest fucking waste of a time. We put a provisional road in a Breaker Town and we were pumped. We had Logi, like it was like literally Patton's fucking Logi, Red Bull Express, dude. Logi trucks down and up that road all day fucking long, dude. I mean, it was like awesome. It was fucking awesome, dude.
Provisional roads work. Well, I like that they did on the new islands. I do like that they made a lot of incomplete roads that you actually have to build yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I like using provisional roads, and I like that they're designing some of the maps to do that. So, but Breaker Town was like one of their early strategies of testing that out. You could tell.
I really think that was just it was like the pinnacle of using everything in the arsenal to make it work. It was really fun. And I think, especially when you're talking about runways, I'm really not a fan of them knowing where every single runway is, like you said. And like all they have to do is come loiter because they know exactly where you're going to take off from. They know exactly which way you're going to be going back home. If they didn't know all that information, like that's huge. I really think that'd be awesome because you don't need that much room to take off. You only use like a fucking quarter of a runway anyway, these big ones. And then they could also take away these massive runways and just have tier 2 runways and only have like we could build tier 1 without the storage depot and shit, right? But tier 2 would only be reserved for backline hexes for long strategic bombing. And like obviously you'd have to increase the fuel amount for bombers or whatever, the fuel economy, but that's again small balance changes that can be changed with keystrokes. Nothing that has to be coded in super heavy, right? So I don't know, man. I think stuff like that would go a lot longer. But yeah, I mean, to sum up this podcast again, I really think the biggest thing the game needs is a PR team and really work on small stuff.
Yeah, they definitely need a PR team. For sure. Yeah.
I mean, what else would you guys really like say right now? I mean, I will say I did get confirmation. Devs do watch this, so if you had anything to say to the devs, what would you want to say?
Mark, how dare you?
Mark, how dare you?
I mean they did the frontline stuff. Like, please show love to the facility and Logi guys. That's all I ask. Facility, Logi, builders, please show us love.
Pretty much just focus on taking care of your hardest working players in the game, which are your like logistics guys and your builders, like your guys that do the most work. and basically they're the foundation for the game. If those guys leave the game, then you're not gonna have a game left, because if there's no weapons and logistics and stuff to use, then there's gonna be no war to fight. So
Yeah.
figure out how to take care of them.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it, like, they're going in the right direction with the retrieve amount to,
Yeah,
30 and
low.
stuff like that. I see that, but, just please give us a little bit more and more. I know you have 6 weeks to cook up, devs, but please, please give us something.
Wow us. Kruuuze, what do you got? What do you want to say to
Oh,
a dev if
07,
you
keep
could-
up the good work. I know there's lots of changes that people want. Can't make everyone happy. But I know they're just going to keep working and trying to do what they can to make it, as best as they can overall. And I look forward to seeing what they come up with.
Kruuuze, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I really think I really love that there are still positive people like you in the game, like genuinely that just have fun in the game. 07 to that. Like I genuinely hope more people play like that and stop getting so negative. Do you fuck around in Reddit and stuff?
No, I don't. I
That's-
just play the game.
God bless you, soldier.
I don't even really read the Discord either, except for their updates and announcements. But yeah, I mostly just play the game and have fun with it, or try to.
Be more like Kruuuze, guys, and vote for Chamberlain for 2026 Foxhole PR rep, boys. No, nothing to say to that. No. Anyway, any last comments, you guys? Other than that, that was a great podcast. I want to thank you guys for all coming to hang out with me. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. I'm gonna be playing next war. I really hope to see you guys as well. But yeah, other than that, I mean, we can end it there for final comments and stuff like that. But other than that, that was fucking awesome. Hey.
Thank you, Berg. Great to see you,
Yep.
Cranky
Yep,
and
thanks, Berg.
Chamberlain. Honor to be on this podcast with y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Likewise.
Yeah, boys. I'm excited to see you guys next war, and thank you guys again for just coming out and spending a few hours talking to me about some shit, and hopefully it change some shit, man. Hopefully we can get back on the right track. So hell yeah. 07 boys, we'll end it there, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.